passe. Oh, l'artiste. Super, encore un but sensationnel. That's a brilliant bit of follow-up play by Mahe. Oh my goodness me, what a shot.
Sagosen setter det hen! Han setter den! De i semifinale igjen!
The fourth World Championship gold medal in a row for this incredible Danish team. Every single person in our preview predicted Denmark as champions. And everyone was right. This team is fantastic and won pretty straightforward in the final against Croatia. But I think overall the tournament was more than just Denmark waltzing. We had the drama. We had Duvniak. Alex Kulish here, Chris O'Reilly joining me, who was there in Oslo to watch it. How are you doing, Chris? How was the final from the stands?
I'm good, Alex. Before we go into it, my mind is cast back to 2019 and the excitement in your voice when Denmark won the first world title of the four, as you were speaking in Danish and celebratory tones of this great team that have finally made the breakthrough. How it's all changed in the space of 6 years, and now it's become commonplace for us all.
I think this is the last one. Like, I think
the last one for the team.
No, the last one that you're going to accept. It's like people are enjoying it. People are still reveling in this team's dominance because they like when you look at the four World Championships, there's been a real transition in generations. So while it is Denmark winning four championships in a row, it's very different teams that have done it. You know, Morten Olsen was part of the initial World Championship team, and now we have Thomas Arnoldson. So it's quite a shift. Yeah. Just Mads Menzel Larsen and Lauge, the only constants.
Yeah. And actually, maybe we will get into that later on, like the future of this team and who could maybe stop them. But yeah, going back to being there in the stands, it was weird to. I have to say, it was weird being in Zagreb for most of the week and then heading over to Oslo for the final. And I think I mentioned this in the final preview. It felt like, the tournament was already kind of done with. At least like Croatia had won it. Like they were the moral victors of this championship. There was celebrations in the arena. Everyone was packing up, and it was like the only thing that was missing was the confetti. Yet there was this whole other thing happening. And it was funny kind of flying in as a blow-in for that final day, because I think the case was that everyone and the final gave a whole lot of energy that wasn't there in Oslo beforehand. Like I saw comments from people saying, "Oh, finally the arena is alive. All it took was 5,000 or 6,000 Croatians to get in there," and it kind of maybe saved the Norwegian side of the championship a little bit. The overall day, I think the atmosphere was great. It felt like there were more people in there than there should be. I know there was a lot of people that came over from Croatia. There were 4 charter flights over. There was a bunch of Croatians who were living in Scandinavia who had made their way over. I know a couple from Gothenburg who got tickets, and some more who couldn't get tickets. They were being sold for like €400 on the second-hand sites. And I reckon there were a few people snuck in there as well, because by the time the game started, there was a lot of standing, and which, in its own way is kind of charming that that is the case in the final. And it was the most fans it's ever been at a handball match in Norway. So the atmosphere is fantastic. The Croatians had come in and really added some spice to it. The bronze medal game really got the tempo going as well, which was a magnificent game in itself. And there was that similar belief among the Croatian fans and the Croatian people that they could do something, but less of a kind of a need for it to happen. Because as I said, and this was the feeling, that they had done what they needed to do. They got to the final, they'd gotten a medal, They'd already planned for 100,000 people to arrive at the party on Monday. So it was like whatever happens now was a bonus. And I think as great as that is, it didn't necessarily help in terms of them potentially beating the Danish side.
Do you think that permeated into the players?
Yeah, I really believe so. And we will hear from Mario Šoštarić later on. And you can tell from the way he speaks about it. And you could see you could see at the end of the game, that always gives away a lot in terms of how the players feel. There was a real acceptance for it. But I think that did take away a little bit of the whatever that magic ingredient was that helped them win those 4 games where they had to, or they were out of the tournament. This was not the case. It was like, we're playing an incredible Danish team. And it felt to me there was something a little bit missing. They really, in that first half, Denmark gave them a lot of chances to get into the game and maybe even take a measure of control. Denmark let a lot of chances behind. And so I think that it did permeate a little bit into the players, at least from what I saw.
I don't fully agree with that. I think Croatia knew they had to do something. And what they chose to do is beat the shit out of Denmark.
Well, yes, that is true.
And then it didn't work violence. Out. They chose violence.
Yeah.
They absolutely chose violence. Honestly, there was a lot of criticism from Danish fans, Croatian fans, Croatians against referees. It doesn't matter. It's a final. I don't think anything was completely over the line. I think the potential stomp on Gitzel probably slightly over the line that Croatia got away with. But otherwise, they did try to go out there and just hit them. But Denmark are just too fast, and that's the issue.
Yeah.
You get a red card.
But I think we can kind of come to similar conclusions from this, and looking at how they're approaching the game. I think they chose that way because of an acceptance of them being not able to beat Denmark in a handball match, which I think is the wrong approach, because they had just beaten 4 really good teams. They had beaten 2 teams that were in the Olympic semi-finals, and 2 more teams in Hungary and Iceland who are incredibly strong and solid teams. So I think they maybe underestimated their ability to find a way to beat Denmark in a handball match. Remember, it was only a year ago that Denmark were beaten in a handball match in the final of the Euro against France. But yeah, I think because of that, they felt they needed to go a different route in order to get into Denmark's head and make it into a bit of a scrap, which didn't work out, because I think you tweeted about it from our account. Denmark were ready for this as well. Simon Putlik was looking to get into a scrap. He wanted to fight.
He was squaring up every single time. He was ready to fight. And I think Denmark themselves are not a squeaky clean team. Yeah. They play tough. They play a very pure style of handball. They're very athletic, but they're not above getting into fights, and that was, there was about 3 or 4 times in the game that both teams squared off. It never really went anywhere further than a few pushes, but Denmark weren't going to let Croatia push them around. They're too good for that, and I think Nikolaj Jakobsen wouldn't allow that. I think Nikolaj Jakobsen is a fiery character himself, and I think you can see that in the team, that it's not only finesse, they have a toughness about them, which was showcased because half the team had food poisoning as well.
Yeah, wow, that was a real revelation after the game, wasn't it? That was it Emil Nielsen who said he basically couldn't sleep until early the morning of the game, got out of bed at 3:30 and had a slice of toast, and then went out and put in a match-winning performance, won the goalkeeper battle by a country mile, 13 saves, 38%.
Poor Emil Nielsen, because the Champions League Final Four, his father died.
He didn't speak about it.
Didn't speak about it, kept it. Yeah. It's like every final he faces insane adversity, comes out and dominates. You just have to respect that immensely. And as you said, yeah, I think he is the deserved MVP of the tournament, even though Matthias Giesel got it. It's just crazy to say, because Matthias Giesel had one of the greatest championships I've ever seen from a player. He's 74 goals, top assists, dominant throughout the games. But when it felt like when Denmark were ever stuck in a game, it was Emil Nielsen that dragged them out and stopped them from going behind. And when they needed to push ahead, it was Matthias Giesel who made a 2-goal lead, a 10-goal lead.
Yeah.
And that was just the repeat of every game in this championship, including the final. You just saw that second half starting and Matthias Giesel started to get rolling. And, Emil Nielsen put in the amazing first half performance to ensure that they're comfortably in the lead. And as you said, Croatia had opportunities.
They really did. 20 minutes into the game, there was one goal between the sides, and it felt like Croatia were really getting into a rhythm. They had a lot of let-offs early on, the post and the crossbar, saving them on a few occasions. And then they actually did turn the defense. The defense was looking very good at times. They got some proper turnovers against the Danish attack, which probably would have led into a little bit of self-doubt. And they got within a goal, but a minute and a half after getting themselves back within one, Marko Mamić does one of the stupidest things I've ever seen. And I feel incredibly vindicated by all of this, because throughout the tournament in my commentary, I've been asking, what on earth is Marko Mamić doing in this defense, particularly in the 5-1 defense?
It's interesting. I liked that approach, because you rarely see the tall man 5-1 anymore. The the long arms 5-1, not the quick 5-1.
I know the reason why, but it was just like budget Duvniak. It was like, okay, Duvniak has done it in the past. He can't do it. So we're going to try it with him. But every time I saw him play, every time I saw him play, he just got beaten every time. And we're going to have a bonus podcast later in the week to do our alternative awards. And so we'll get into this another time. And also the Tomasoft MVP stats, which have also... Tomasoft are like the stats provider for the IHF and the World Championship. They have their own valuations for the contributions of players. And I'm going to bring up Marko Mamic's one in a couple of days' time. There's a little teaser for you, but I'm going to tell you now, it's not good. And so that tackle was ludicrous. That was self-sabotage, I felt at that point.
Yeah.
And I don't know why anyone would think that was what your team needed at that point. And from there was literally no turning back. The lead extended gradually until halftime. And then whenever Denmark get into a somewhat tight game, it's the third quarter. That's the money time. That's the beginning of the second half. That is when they really step up. And as you said there, that's when the likes of Matthias Giesel start to take over, who had a 10-goal from 11 shots final, which is just... at every final, Denmark have one of those performances, and it comes from different people at different times. It's been Mensah a few years ago, Lauge 2 years ago, and Giesel did it 10 from 11 and 4 assists in that final.
After Mamić got that blue card, it was 4 goals for Giesel and 2 assists to just put Denmark in the driving seat for the second half, for a kind of a classic performance that we've seen him do time and time again. It was the same against Portugal, where you have to, I think, to have any chance of beating Denmark, you have to be winning at halftime. Even 1 goal up, I think, is a mental boost or a psychological boost for a team when you go 4 goals down and Denmark, really, really put their foot down on your neck. There's really no coming back. Otherwise, talking about Croatian disasters, poor Zvonimir Cerna with a historically bad stat line of 0 from 3 shots and 3 2-minutes in the game.
And 3 turnovers to go with it.
Yeah. And 3 turnovers. The beautiful threes.
From a man who did so well in that second half against France and was a deserved player of the match in that semi-final. He's a guy, like a lot of the backcourt, who punched above their weight at different times to bring this team. I think we talked about this Croatian team having a backcourt that wasn't necessarily good enough to win a world championship. But yeah, it was a tough old day for him. Ivan Martinovic, I have a lot of respect for his performance at this tournament. He had 6 goals in the final. And just like, who would have thought that he would be the playmaker for this team in a country full of playmakers, that you have to go to a right back to do the job. And he didn't seem to complain about it. He just, he did his very best at it. And almost kind of probably adds to his stock a little bit. It probably brings him into the people will see him as a bit of a Remeli like guy who could fill in the center as well as play at right back. He did very well.
Yeah, he had a great tournament. He built into the tournament. I think initially he struggled a little bit, built into it, and kind of dragged this team up. Dominik Kuzmanovic didn't hit his lofty heights. I think Croatia needed him at his best, and that's when you probably look at the injured Mandic, who wasn't available for a tournament, a really top goalkeeper as well, that could have been available to just fill in for the times that your goalkeeper isn't having the best game. Unfortunately, that came in the final. Shall we hear some interviews about the game?
Let's do it. We'll speak first of all to world champion Lukas Jørgensen, and then straight afterwards from Mario Šoštarić. Congratulations, another gold medal around your neck, and for the team, I guess it's a feeling that you're quickly getting used to.
Yeah, but I never get tired of that feeling. I think the title and the medal is something very big, that we are in this moment writing history in our sport. That's something very big and a little bit unreal. So yeah, right now is unbelievable.
You as a team have dealt with every challenge in this tournament so well. You passed with flying colours every way. This felt like a very different challenge, not only with it being a final, but also against a Croatian team that have been riding on such a high as well.
I think Croatia have played an excellent tournament, especially Croatia's defense have been amazing. It was a big punch for them to get the red card. But we knew that Croatia was going to play hard. The only thing we could do was to take the hits. Hopefully they will get some suspicion, and they did. So take the hit, get up again, and just be prepared for one more hit.
Not only taking the hits, also in defense, you guys were really well prepared for everything they looked like they were going to throw at you. How much time did you actually have to prepare for this team?
We prepared last night. Saw some video again this morning. So not much, but of course that's how it's supposed to be in this kind of tournament. We are going from one game to another, so it was used to this time for preparing.
And you as a team also seem to enjoy the physical aspect. You took the hit, threw a few back as well. How important was it to also show Croatia that you weren't afraid to get into that kind of battle with them?
We wasn't trying to make it a physical game. Of course, we need to push back in our defense, but we know that we are better at playing in fast speed, make the ball do the work, and most of the time we do that. And in that aspect of the game, we are a much better team than Croatia. Croatia was going to make it physical, and they are very good at that. So we tried our best to not make it a fight.
And in every game that's been kind of close in this championship, you really pushed in that third quarter, the beginning of the second half. You score that counter-attack goal and also pointing down in the ground to the crowd saying, "This is our court." How did you feel at that point you would really, gain control over the match?
It was a great feeling, and you're totally right about the pointing. I had the feeling this is our match. I can see we are getting ahead of them, and the feeling in the team was we have everything under control. We know what we have to do, and like every other team we have played against, it was difficult to keep up in the second half.
You said that you're rewriting history with this team. It's a new generation a little bit with the likes of Hansen and Landin gone, but it seems like nothing has changed or even gotten a little bit better. How incredible is it to be a part of this group?
It's unreal, as I was saying, to write history, to play of maybe the best team in the history of handball. That's something very special and something it's difficult to put in words. It's so surreal to achieve such big things, and you just have to remember to enjoy every moment of it.
You put it very well. Well done.
Thank you.
Mario, congratulations on the medal. Of course, it's so short after a game, it's hard to unpack where the defeat came from in the end, but what's running through your mind?
It runs through my mind how proud I am on this team and on what we achieved in all of these days. And in 1 month since we are together, we played an amazing tournament. We have amazing fans. We showed to everybody that Croatia belongs where we are. And we proudly watched today our flag on second place. So I just feel that I'm really proud and happy to be part of that team.
Take me through the game a little bit. It was a tricky game in general for both teams. It felt like neither could really get into their full flow. I think both teams knew each other very well and knew what to expect as well. Is that how it felt for you?
Yeah, of course. We knew that they're gonna try to play fast. We try to play hard. Emil was again amazing on the goal. What can we say on that guy? I think he finished tournament with 45% of saves. Heads off to him. And but we kept fighting. We said that we want to go out from this arena with heads up and proudly. And I think we showed, despite the result is 6 goals. I think this tournament they lost, I don't know how many games this tournament, less than 10 goals. We showed that we are on the right way, that we can play with them. Maybe the crucial moment was when Mamić got a red card. It was a hard foul, of course. He deserved this red card, and that changed the flow of the game for sure. And we tried also with 7 against 6. He didn't run. They scored 2-3 goals easy. They went on 8 or 9 goals. But we tried still to come back. We said on timeout we will fight and we will try to come back. We came as much as we could. It wasn't enough, but that's it.
And that was very clear to see the fighting until the end. I mean, looking back at the last week in general, I was in Zagreb as well, covering the games, incredible matches, and you basically had four matches where you had to win or you were out of the championship, which I guess gives a lot of energy, but also is quite draining for you as a team.
Of course, it drains you, especially emotionally, because we put all of our emotions in the games with this nation behind us, with these fans. If you were there, you know what I'm talking about. They were amazing also today. They came, I don't know how many people came without the tickets. They tried to search for it. That's Croatia. That's Croatian handball. We are like that. We are passionate. We are putting the energy and emotions inside. Nobody can blame us on that. We are just proud, even more proud on what we did with that, and I know that the fans are proud on us. And tomorrow, Croatian media, we have a big party in Croatia with all of nation with us on the main square, and it's going to be amazing.
That will be amazing. Did it surprise you a little bit to see how many Croatians were in the arena? It was
knowing Croatians, I wasn't surprised. They are with us. They are giving us wings, and we wanted to win also for them. It wasn't enough today, but we all feel that they are proud of us.
It was a beautiful moment at the end of the match also with Dula. It's been an emotional few weeks with the storyline with him also making his way back. What can you put into words the kind of impact he has on this team?
Dula is one of the biggest players in history of handball for me. Danish players also did a great gesture, letting him finish this tournament with a goal. it shows just how people are appreciating him, how people respect him, and he fully deserved this respect. He was our leader for 20 years. He is one of the best players in the world. He also put emotions inside of every game. He came back with broken calf. It was a big injury, but he say, if I can be by the court just giving energy and support, and he did that a lot, I'm enough. And he brings all of that to the table, and we are really proud that we could play with him. We are really proud on every word that he say to us, what he bring to us, and he say that he's leaving a national team in safety hands. I agree. We have bright future, but we will miss him a lot.
Beautifully said. Enjoy the homecoming tomorrow.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you to Mario and to Lukas. You would have heard there Lukas speaking about the big moment. I think it was probably like 10 minutes into the second half when he scored the goal on the fast break, which kind of opened up a lead that looked a little bit unassailable, and he wheeled back into defense, looking at the crowd, pointing at the court, saying, "This is our house." And he's a player I've been very impressed with in this tournament. He's taken a step up in a way that I didn't expect in the pecking order of the attack for Denmark, maybe even being considered bigger weapon on the line in attack than Saugstrup. And he spoke very well there, and also saying Denmark, this current Denmark team, the best the world has ever seen. How do you see that, Alex?
Are they? Are they the best the world has ever seen? That is.
Well, he is a young man. We are relatively young men. Maybe we're a little bit biased. They're definitely they are maybe not there yet. I think they're going to have to win a European Championship. That's the thing that's missing right now before they can start discussing with the France of the 2000s and early 2010s and the Sweden of the 1990s in terms of, let's say, this somewhat contemporary great teams. But at World Championship level, they are head and shoulders above the rest. Well, now they're head and shoulders above the rest. I think for the first time, it looks like this current team, compared to the rest of the teams at the moment in the world, they look like they've opened up a gap over the rest in a way that I haven't seen since I followed handball.
And I think that's the point here. I think you nailed it on the head that like this team has won 4 World Championships in a row. Okay, that is the best. No other team has ever done that. So that's an argument. They've got an Olympics in there as well in this run. Then also won in 2016, which is probably before this iteration of the team. So you're kind of looking at this 4 World Championships and last year's Olympics as the result of this team's performances. But I don't know if I've ever seen a team sprint through a championship like they did in this one, where they, like, you could make an argument for the all-star team being just Danish players. Maybe a few sneak in right wing, maybe, but otherwise you can make an argument that the whole Danish team was better than anyone in the tournament. They had the 2 best players in the world by far, Emil Nielsen and Matthias Giesel. And it's frightening. It's really frightening. And it doesn't seem like anyone is even close to figuring them out, except for Xavi Sabate. People need to, he needs to start doing consulting services for other teams in the World Championship, because the only 2 teams that have held them below 10 goals in this championship are Czech Republic and Croatia in the final. When you compare it to other teams, obviously the great French team, pretty much the predecessors to this Danish team, the one that won 4 World Championship in 5 years, Les Experts, 2009 to 2017, 4 out of 5 World Championships. Within there's also basically 3 Olympic gold medals, starting from 2008, 12, and then 20. The sprinkle in there that sets them apart from the Danish team is that they won a couple of Euros in there, but only 2 in that run, and 2010 and 14.
Yeah, and in 14, smashing Denmark in the final, which is the last time Denmark were beaten at Jyske Bank Boxen. 11 years. So that is a long time. That like the stats they've been building up for home championships and world championships are quite extraordinary now. I guess is it 35 games
they haven't
now
lost
unbeaten
in the world. I think is it not more? Not since 2017 that they lost in the World Championship, which is absolutely remarkable.
Yeah.
And as you said, they're kind of there's been 2 generations within this single generation. Who were the only 2 players that have played in all 4 World Championships?
Ooh. In all 4 was Johan Hansen one of them?
Johan Hansen was not one of them.
Okay, so he was 2021 his first time, I guess. Okay.
Lasse was still there.
He was still there, and of course they had Hans Lindberg as well at different points, so he wasn't needed
Hans Lindberg.
I'm thinking there's a winger in there, so either like Landin or Jakobsen.
Magnus Landin is one of them.
Yeah.
All 4 World Championships in the squad. Really crucial member. And, across all of the ones that Mikkel Hansen paid, Magnus Landin was the person who unlocked their defense because he could play number 2.
Yes.
Even number 3 at times, and let Mikkel Hansen do whatever in the same way that Kirk Lukas unlocked.
Yes, exactly.
His team later on. There's one more. You gotta know.
It's Henrik Mulga. Are you not counting him in this year's championship?
I'm not counting him in this year's championship.
But he did play. Is he a third one then?
Fair. He's a third one. Henrik Mulgaard is the third one.
Okay, so there's one more who should be obvious.
You gotta get this. It should be very obvious.
Well, I did get an obvious one, which is Mulgar. It can't be Lauga, is it? Was Lauga fit for all of them? That would surprise me.
No, there's 1 year with ACL injury.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, he can't be fit always. Mads Mensa.
Mads Mensa Larsson, in the squad for all 4 World Championship gold medals, including one incredible performance in 2021, right? That
put in the winning performance. I think it might have been actually in the final against Norway in 2019. He's come up big, and he wasn't going to be in the squad for the final, but Lasse Andersson, the illness was too strong for him, and I saw him briefly in the mix zone afterwards as well, and the poor guy, like, he's finally in a position where he can contribute and not to be, but good for Mads Mensa, who did play a fair bit in the final as well.
So you're saying they're not better than the French yet?
I think you have to win the Euro as well, because that is like a bogey competition for them now. It's 2012, the last time they won. You might argue that from beginning to end, it is the tougher tournament, tougher than the Olympics, tougher than the World Championship to win, because of the constant like barrage of teams you have to face, and it was only 4 years ago they were knocked out in the first round of that competition. They were beaten, knocked out in the preliminary round. So, they got to do that, and it's going to be another big Scandi party next year. The Euro held in Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. So,
God, this is the
monoculture we spoke about continues.
Monoculture, it's getting a bit ridiculous. Like, you can tell that Norway were sick of it already. Sweden, Denmark are probably sick of winning every game, and you can probably tell that from. Of course, they had thousands of people turn out in the square in Copenhagen to celebrate the Danish victory. To my eye, it looked like the smallest crowd in the 4 years that we've seen. It's the interest is there. Everyone loves it, but
yes,
it's a lot.
And that's why I think next year would be like the cherry on the icing on the cake for the team, because they have the final weekend is in Herning. It is like the redemption of the 2014 loss to France, and then if they add that Euro title to it, I think the party will be big again in Herning, because when they win at home, when they won that home World Championship, it was the same night in Herning as well, and then I think they would move to Copenhagen. So that was big. And on the parties, holy shit, that party in Zagreb, pretty sure most people listening have seen some clips from it. If not, then on Instagram or anywhere you can find on the Croatian Federation's pages there. the clips, and that was a massive crowd, as expected. Incredible, and just, it is nice to it's really nice to see two big handball nations coming up in the final and both being celebrated like that the next day, and particularly when the team that wins the silver medal has the bigger crowd. Wonderful stuff. And the love that the team has gotten. There's been a lot of talk as Croatia were battling to stay alive in this competition that Croatian handball really needs this to get back into the forefront of people's minds, that if they didn't get to the quarterfinal or get to the semi-final, that the sport will take a massive hit. So there was a lot riding on this in the Croatian handball public's mind, and it's gone almost as well as it could possibly go. And so really good to see that, and I think that will have a knock-on effect on the club as well in Zagreb and the crowds that will come, and for the team in the future. It's bumped up the hierarchy.
Dubnyk needs to go back to Zagreb for a season. Just needs to do it. Get out of Kiel. Stop being the person trying to make everything happen. Get out of there.
Then he only has to play 15, 16 games. It's perfect. That was a special moment as well, that walk-in goal at the end. A little bit marred by the shouting match happening between Igor Karacic and Nikolaj Jakobsen. And
also, magic moment, fair play, we love it. But the point spread betting before the match was minus 6.5 goals.
Oh, wow.
which meant that that one it got it down to 6. So it ruined a lot of people's bets on Denmark to win by 6 or more goals, which is hilarious.
That is quite hilarious.
No one was thinking about that.
No, of course not. But I reckon there's probably a bunch of really angry random people writing on Yannick Grain's Instagram saying, why did you let that in the same way that poor tennis players ranked 400 in the world get abused on Instagram whenever they lose a match on a Tuesday afternoon in Tajikistan.
And you know what? There's nothing wrong with a silver medal. Just as I got a silver medal in the Cal Cup, the big tournament in the US, just as big as the World Championship.
Yeah, so you had a similar feeling afterwards, one of pride and resignation.
I think it was very similar to Croatia, because we surprisingly, the Boston handball team surprisingly got into the final, winning our 3 games leading up to the final day. And boy, did we have a celebration on Saturday night on Boston. Like we had just won the tournament. And, may that have impacted us in the final day? Maybe. But it was worth the celebration.
Yeah, I'm sure the Croatians would be proud of you. And the Spanish women's team, another team that are very good at that, celebrating semi-final wins. All right, we'll wrap it up there. We will be back later in the week with a morning club on Patreon, where we do our alternative awards, which we're looking forward to doing.
Thank you to everyone who did follow us on Patreon throughout the competition. Appreciate everyone getting involved. We had a lot of new members joining. I'm sure a lot of you are thinking, well, the World Championship's over. I'm going to leave now. Go on, give it a try. Maybe watch a little bit of club handball. Watch the Bundesliga. Check out the Champions League. Follow along. You might like it even more. And we'll be here to follow it all the way through the year. It's been a lot of fun. We got a lot of podcasts out throughout the competition, all thanks to your help. We wouldn't be doing multiple podcasts on every game week without all of your support on Patreon. So thank you for that. Thanks for joining us. And we will announce the winner of the Fantasy League in our Patreon bonus podcast, where we go through our alternative awards. If you haven't listened to the alternative awards before, it is a really fun podcast. We have great awards, just like the Adrian Šipoš Award for Excellence in Shithousery, the Swiss Army Knife, the Golden Spoon, everything cutlery related is going to be presented at that. So stick around to hear that one on Patreon a little bit later in the week.
Well said, Alex. Thank you all, and see you soon. Goodbye.